Regarding a circumstance that has resulted in a slight rift within the family, I am 24 years old, and my identical twin brother is also 24 years old. Throughout our childhood, our parents took great satisfaction in their ability to differentiate between us, even when other people were unable to do so. Throughout our lives, Mike and I have always been really close and have enjoyed playing pranks on other people by switching places on occasion. However, we have never done this to our parents because they have always been so confident in their abilities. When we were having supper together as a family a few months ago, the subject of telling us apart was brought up once more. I overheard my mother and father, who are both 52 years old, boasting about how they had never been deceived by our switcheroos. As Mike and I gazed at each other, we were both aware that we were thinking the same thing, even though we did not express it verbally. As a result, I issued a wager to our parents, stating that if they were able to go an entire month without confusing us, Mike and I would take care of their duties for a whole year. They would be required to do something as embarrassing if they made even a single mistake. We had not yet decided what it would be, but it would be something that would be excellent. They accepted without any reservations whatsoever. The first couple of weeks passed without any trouble at all. Just sometimes Mike and I would trade places in order to test the waters. We didn't do this very often. Despite the fact that they were on high alert and did not fall for it, it was obvious that our parents were beginning to feel a little paranoid. Because of this, we were even more determined. A weekend later, we made the decision to go all in. I switched clothing with Mike, and he even created a small fake tattoo on his arm to match mine. We both wore the same outfit. We worked on each other's mannerisms and speech patterns in order to improve them. Our pals were aware of it by this point, and they thought it was amusing. They even provided us with advice on how to behave in a manner that was more similar to one another. A cookout for the whole family was scheduled to take place on the weekend of the big deal. This would be the ideal time for us to connect with our parents in a relaxed situation, since it would provide us with numerous opportunities to do so. While I was pretending to be Mike, I would mingle with our friends and family members, and Mike would do the same thing that I did. It was going swimmingly up until the time that dinner was served. A question regarding my profession was posed to me by our mother while we were eating dinner. I was well prepared and confident in my response, but then she threw a surprise by asking a question that was really specific to a project that I was ostensibly working on. I had some difficulty remembering the specifics that Mike had shared with me. It was a strange look that she gave me, but she didn't say anything. Following supper, our father took Mike and me aside and began discussing a fishing trip that we had planned to go on. I continued to put on a show, but I could sense that he was suspicious of me. It was as if he was attempting to catch me off guard by asking more sharp questions. I was successful in avoiding the majority of them, but he did not appear to be convinced. The next morning, our parents arranged for a gathering of the entire family. They made the announcement that they were aware that we had been moving places and that they had evidence to support their claim. It would appear that our mother had snapped a photograph of me while I was at the BBQ and compared it to an older photograph. I have a very small scar on my ear, which Mike does not have. She noticed it. Destroyed. We were disappointed with our parents, not because of the bet, but because they believed that we had taken advantage of the confidence that they had placed in us. They said that we had gone too far by including everyone at the BBQ and by carefully fooling them in such a comprehensive manner. Even though Mike and I expressed our deepest apologies, the environment has remained strained ever since. Following the placement of the initial wager, Mike and I devoted a significant amount of time to formulating our approach. For the time being, we made the decision to keep our switches to a minimum in order to give our parents the impression that they are safe. During our time together, we worked on improving our mannerisms, speech patterns, and even routines. Our pals were in on the plan, and they thought it was hilarious. They shared their thoughts and offered their support. Small was how we began. Mike would come to my work meetings and I would attend his classes. He is a student who attends school on a part-time basis. At home, we would switch shortly before meals or when we went out with the family. In spite of the fact that they were attentive, our parents did not appear to have any suspicions at first. This bolstered our self-assurance and provided us with more courage. For a family cookout, we planned a significant change that would include the participation of extended family members and guests. In our minds, this was going to be the ultimate test of our parents' capacity to differentiate between the two of us. In the week coming up to the event, we devoted our time honing our respective roles. Mike went so far as to take a crash course on my most recent job project in order to guarantee that he would be able to provide convincing responses to any inquiries that may arise. The cookout was off to a pleasant start. As Mike, I engaged in conversation with our parents, while Mike, in his role as me, spoke with other family. Up until dinner, everything was proceeding in accordance with the plan. It was at that moment that our mother inquired about my profession in a manner that was too particular. I made an effort to respond with self-assurance, but I believe that my minor hesitation must have given her a hint. I was able to detect that she was suspicious even if she did not say anything at that time. Mike and I had a debriefing session that evening, and we came to the conclusion that we should be more cautious. Unless it was absolutely necessary, we decided to refrain from having direct interactions with our parents and to reduce the frequency with which we switched. Nevertheless, it appeared that our parents' suspicions were growing. When our father started asking us in-depth questions about our interests and activities, it was obvious that he was trying to catch us off guard. Even though we were able to maintain our composure, the situation was growing increasingly unpleasant. In the morning of the following day, our parents called us to come together as a family. It was disclosed to us that they were aware that we had been moving positions, and they presented us with a comparison photograph. They felt that we had taken advantage of their confidence, which caused them not only pain but also disappointment. A tense mood prevailed, and we were aware that we had made a mistake. Following the altercation, Mike and I devoted a significant amount of time to contemplating the events that had transpired. It dawned on us that we had pushed the joke to an extreme and had failed to give adequate consideration to the effect that it would have on our parents. It took some time for things to return to normal, despite the fact that we apologized in a serious manner. Although they eventually forgiven us, the trust that they had placed in us had been damaged. In an effort to make amends with them, we proposed that we take care of their responsibilities for an entire year, just as we had originally bet. We also made a commitment to never play a joke of this nature again. We put forth a lot of effort over the course of time to restore our relationship and regain customers' trust. The incident imparted upon us a priceless lesson regarding the significance of being truthful and the influence that our actions have on the people around us. But upon reflection, I can comprehend the reasons why our parents were upset. Even though we believed it to be a harmless kind of entertainment, it ended up causing more damage than we had imagined. AITA for claiming to be my identical brother in order to win a bet with our parents.